Hi riders and future riders. Today we are going to talk about how to choose our first motorcycle. So we are going to cover very important tips here, very important items. So let's start. Today we are green because I know that your dream is a Kawasaki. So today we are green for you. So how to choose your first motorcycle? First, really important, mindset. You need to remember that if you are choosing your first motorcycle, it's because you are new. You are a beginner. You are going to learn on that motorcycle a lot of things. So you need to remember that you need to be open to learn. Be humble. That's key on motorcycles. So remember, humble, keep it humble. Don't rush. Everything comes little by little. Everything in life takes time. Motorcycles are the same thing. To master something, you need to take the time to learn and practice. Practice makes the master, okay? So remember, little by little, don't rush. Before everything else, gear. First than everything else, gear. You need to get good gear. When I say good gear, invest in good gear. Don't get cheap crap. Don't get cheap gear. You need to remember, as I said in the previous video, you can get a new pair of boots, you can get a new pair of pants, you can get a new helmet, a new jacket, but you cannot get a new arm or a new leg or a new head. So please invest in good gear. How much? It depends how much you want to spend. So you need to take into account that the better material, the better you are going to get protected. So carbon fiber, 100%. Leather, 100%. Elbows, knees protection, 100%. Ankle protection, boots, 100%. So the more, the better, okay? And don't compare yourself with others. And I know that you have seen in social media these videos of people doing crazy tricks and crazy stuff without helmet, without pants, without anything. So that's they are taking the risk. But why you, right? You appreciate your body, you appreciate your life. So the more gear you are using, the better quality it has, the better for you. Now, you wear the gear every time that you ride, but you are going to use it just once. And that day, if it comes and you need to really use that gear, you want to have that gear on, and you need to make sure that that's the best gear that you can get. So you have more chances of surviving, and you understand. So the better the gear, the better for you. So don't be cheap with the gear. Don't compare yourself with others. I know maybe you have some friends, maybe you are being guided by somebody else and this person has an amazing bike, 400, 600, 4-cylinder, a liter bike, something huge. You want to be there, but don't compare yourself with them. Maybe they have more experience, they have been riding for many years, they know what they are doing, but you are new, you are fresh, so you need to take the time to learn. Same thing, so don't compare yourself, don't rush, don't push yourself to be there. Take your time. You are going to think that this is a little dumb, but you need to know how to ride a bicycle before attempting to ride a motorcycle. And as I told you, I've been a rider coach and I've seen things, and I have seen people going to the class and they don't know how to ride a bicycle. And of course they fail, but it is important just to mention it. If you are attempting to ride a motorcycle, you 100% need to know how to ride a bicycle, and actually ride it pretty well. Before you attempt to ride, you need to learn your basics. You need to know about the controls, parts of the bike, types of motorcycles. You need to get educated first, then you can practice. But take your time, do your homework, watch videos, read, but learn before about motorcycles in general. Okay, what motorcycle? So, as I said before in the previous video, the smaller, the better. So I have seen people, I have seen videos, I have seen social media, people recommending 600cc, 2-cylinder or below or something like that as a first beginner bike. That's actually a really big bike. I wouldn't recommend that. As I said, 100cc bike can do the job, but let's don't be that conservative. We can say around 200cc, it's fine, it's perfect for the majority of the people. Sometimes people that is shorter, or maybe they are scared, they need to develop the skill little by little, they can do a smaller one. But for the majority, based on the experience, around 200cc is actually a pretty good decision. So your height and the motorcycle height is really important. How comfortable are you seated on the motorcycle? So we are going to talk about the feet position, and we are going to use one of our little motorcycles as an example. As I said, today we are green Kawasaki, so we are using the Kawasaki ZX6R. I know you want that bike really bad, but you are going to take your time, go little by little, learn stuff before you attempt to ride something like this. But our example is pretty simple. So as you can see, what if I'm not tall enough? Look at that. It's really difficult for me to control this motorcycle, right? If I'm tall enough, oh yeah, I have a pretty decent control, right? We are going to start encouraging straight the bike. Keep the bike straight all the time. The tank, it needs to be straight, at least at the beginning. For the first maneuvers that you are going to make, the bike needs to keep straight, okay? Don't try to lean at the beginning, right? So if you turn, the bike should still be straight, okay? So you don't lean. We are going to learn later why it's a good idea to keep it straight all the time, okay? But for now, your feet should be touching always the floor, both of them. The more area you cover, the better. So if you can use all your feet, ideally the toe and the heel at the same time on both feet, okay? So that would be ideal. I know that the majority, we cannot put the heel, okay? Because usually in average, the bikes are a little high. So anyways, we need to remember that we need to keep both feet on the floor all the time, right? If that's not the case, that bike is too tall for us. We shouldn't get that bike. Okay, so if we can put both feet at the same time, that's going to be much easier. If you are fighting, struggling to keep both feet on the ground, that's not gonna help you with your learning curve. Okay, so we want to have both feet on the ground, and now we are going to talk about leaning angle. So we are going to lean that motorcycle, and we need to make sure that we can at least reach 45 degrees of lean angle, okay? So we want to be 45 degrees or a little bit more. But if we cannot reach 45, that's okay. But the closer we are to 45, the better we are as a beginner for controlling that motorcycle, okay? And you should be able to bring it back to the center really quick, both sides. So that's the reason why it's really important to have control with both feet, okay? Now, the higher you are, the more risk you take. So make sure that the bike is not that high. Okay, also it's important that you take into account your weight. So you need to choose a motorcycle that you feel that is comfortable. You need to choose a motorcycle that allows you to have a really nice posture. Okay, so you always want to be seated on a motorcycle that allows you to have the back straight and your head comfortable and looking forward. Okay, as a beginner, you don't want to be on a motorcycle that forces you to adopt extreme positions, like very racing or very tall. The feet should be comfortable too, and the lower the better, so you can reach the floor really quick in case that you need to drop a foot. That's really key. So you also need to think about costs, the budget. Okay, how much are you going to invest on that motorcycle? And as a beginner, you need to take into account insurance is going to be expensive, maintenance of that motorcycle. Some motorcycles are really fancy and are expensive to have and to maintain. A motorcycle, like a vehicle in general, is an expense, not an investment. So you need to spend money on it. But we can say that for us it's an investment because we are investing in being happy. So that's fair. So we need to protect our investment. We need to invest on protections for the bike, sliders, crash cages, frame protectors. All that you can get for protecting the motorcycle is okay. But also it's important because that also protects you. So don't hesitate. Buy protections for the motorcycle that also protect you. This also includes protectors for the radiator, in the case that your motorcycle has a radiator. The handlebar sliders are really important. Sometimes when you are a beginner, you are going to drop the bike. So it is important to protect the levers, engine protector, axis protector. All of that is recommended and approved for this job. Now, I know that in social media and other people recommend a pre-owned bike, but personally I don't. I usually recommend that your first bike should be new. Why? Because sometimes when you are super beginner, you don't know about mechanics, you don't know about tires, liquids, like in general the system, the motorcycle as a whole. So usually when you get a pre-owned bike, you get something that somebody already modified, played with, repaired. Sometimes those tires are already out of date, they are already expired, and that is a risk for you. Maybe they are already old, right? Maybe they are already old, they don't have the right shape, many things that you maybe don't know. So you think that the bike is okay, but it's actually not okay. It's putting your own risks. Or you just got a bike that somebody else wanted to get rid of, and you got those new problems. You are going to visit the mechanic, you are going to start investing money on repairs and tires and so many things. So the advice is like invest a little bit more there, put some extra money and get yourself a brand new motorcycle. So you are covered by guarantee, by the dealership, and everything is going to be much more simpler for you in general terms and safer. So these days we can get motorcycles with many features, very modern. So why not to invest a little bit more extra on ABS, some electronic assistance? Why not? So if you can, if it's in your budget, the more safety features, the better. So if you definitely decided to get a pre-owned motorcycle, just make sure that it has as much original parts as possible, including the mirrors. But if it doesn't have the original mirrors, try to get at least big mirrors. That's really important as a beginner. Make sure that it has all the reflectors, or at least many. That's really important. It's a really important safety feature that sometimes beginners don't take into account, but that's really important. Sometimes you are gonna be on places, on spots that represent a risk for you. The more visible you are, the better. So keep the reflectors, keep all the original safety features on those motorcycles. So in summary, the motorcycle that you are going to choose needs to be something that is going to help you personally to develop the skills. It's going to help you to train, to practice a lot, something that you are not scared of, that you can domain, that you can handle. So that's the perfect motorcycle. Remember, the smaller the better, the less fairings the better. So you can see the surroundings, you can see below the bike, you can feel that the bike is small and you can control it. Then you can start getting bigger and bigger bikes, and you are going to notice the bigger they are, the less you can see, the more you have to control, but the less you are looking at the motorcycle. But you need to develop that skill, and you need to be comfortable to do the first low speed maneuvers, the leaning. That's really key. There are a lot of skills that you should domain before aiming for a bigger bike, and we are going to cover that in future videos. So hopefully this helped you to decide. That's it for today. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.